What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Living Freed channel. My name is Tyler Freed, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about what a Trump presidency means for trucking going forward. Is it good? Is it bad? What are some policies that he's going to be implementing, and how is that going to affect trucking? I'm going to be giving my opinion on how I think a Trump presidency is going to impact trucking in a good or bad way. So if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you for being here. Make sure you stay tuned till the very end, because if you don't, you'll miss the entire point of the video. And if you're somebody that's also new, again, make sure you like the video or dislike the video if you don't like me. That's totally fine, but either way, it helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you're already subscribed, again, make sure you like the video, because that helps me grow this channel and get my message out to people. So I appreciate all of you for being here, and I'm going to get right into it. So what does Trump winning mean for trucking? How is that going to impact trucking? And I'm going to specifically talk about certain policies that I believe are going to have an impact on the trucking industry. And, do I think it's overall good that Trump won for trucking in particular? Well, yes, I do, because you got to look at the economic policies that he's going to be implementing, as I just alluded to. Okay, so I'm going to go down the line. 1, tax cuts. 2, fracking, lifting regulations, opening up drilling again, becoming energy independent. Okay, also 3, interest rates coming down. Now, Trump does not control the Federal Reserve, but his policies that are coming, especially energy independence, is going to allow for the Fed to cut rates. And by cutting rates, that's going to stimulate the economy, because people are going to be able to borrow money and spend money on things like houses and car. A lot of industries are going to be impacted that do affect the trucking industry, especially housing. Housing affects the trucking industry tremendously. And over the last couple years, there hasn't been a lot of activity in the real estate market. People have not been able to buy homes because the interest rates have been so high. Small businesses haven't been able to expand as much because interest rates have been so high. Interest rates affect everything. Now, I do know that, the Fed is separate from the president. I understand that, but Trump's policies are going to allow for those rate cuts that will, stimulate the economy, like I just alluded to, because energy independence is going to bring down costs for pretty much every industry. Honestly, it's going to bring down costs for individuals and businesses. So I'm going to go down the line of each and every one of these policies and why it's going to impact trucking tremendously. And if you're someone looking at getting into trucking right now, this is probably the best time to get in, because and whether you like Trump or not, that's irrelevant, honestly. Because look, I don't really care about the person. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is smart, common sense economic policies, because ultimately that's what affects all of us. When your taxes are raised, it doesn't matter who does it. When your taxes are raised, you got to pay more in taxes. When there's more regulations in the business that you work in, that's going to make it a lot harder for you to operate. When we are not energy independent, we're relying for our oil from our enemies, that's going to spike the cost of energy. That's going to spike the cost of fuel. That impacts you. So whether you like him or not, I don't really care whether you like him or not. I don't care. Honestly, I don't really care if you're offended by this video. The facts are the facts, right? The facts are the facts. So I'm going to go down the line of all the policies. I already kind of gave my opinion on a couple of them, but let's just do number 1. I mentioned taxes. Taxes, number 1. Why is that good for trucking? That's good for every corporation, every business. That's good for large businesses, mid-sized businesses, small businesses. Why? Contrary to what they tell you about, he's giving tax cuts to the rich. Well, let me tell you why that's a good thing. It's a good thing to give tax cuts to the rich. It's a good thing to lift regulations. Why is that? Because when you cut taxes, when you give incentives to rich people who start businesses that employ thousands of people, and you give incentives to real estate investors, what you're doing is you're stimulating economic growth. That's what you're doing when you give tax cuts and tax credits and tax deductions. When you do that, you are encouraging economic growth. That is what you are doing. And when you have a growing economy, that creates more jobs, that creates more economic activity, and it helps out with everything. It helps out with revenue for the government. It helps out with of course, employment, as I just mentioned. It just overall benefits the economy when you cut taxes, or at least keep them low at a manageable rate for corporations and high income earners. It's just a fact. 100% it's a fact. And you have low capital gains tax, low dividend income tax. That all benefits the economy 100%. When you allow, and I'll just mention trucking, I'll use a trucking business as an example. When you work for a large company, right? Most of you watching me are going to end up working for a large corporation. How does tax cuts benefit them, and how does it benefit you? Because let's say, they cut the corporate tax by 5%. Well, all that money they just saved on taxes by not having to pay that to the government, they can use that to expand. They can use that money to buy new trucks, hire more people, expand, and get bigger contracts. It's overall better for you. They can afford to pay their employees even more, because that's how it works. If I'm getting a tax cut, I own one truck, but if I want to go to 2 to 5 to 10 trucks and grow a fleet, well, if I'm paying less money in taxes, then I'm able to reinvest that money and grow my small trucking business, right? But if I have to pay it to the government, well, that money just gets spent on something that's honestly useless most of the time, and it doesn't impact the economy in a positive way. It's better to keep money in the private sector than give it to the government for them to waste it on useless crap. And look, we've been living through, fortunately, Trump passed his tax plan while he was president, but I do think the next reform will be even better. I really believe that. I think they'll actually cut the corporate tax even more, and dividend and capital gains tax as well. All three of those are great for economic growth. And when we have economic growth, people, when corporations are able to invest and expand, guess what? That is good for trucking. How is that good for? It's good for trucking, because when they're expanding, they're spending more money. It just stimulates the economy, and more freight's going to be moved 100%. So it's going to boost rates. Just tax cuts alone, if we get that, now that's probably not going to happen until 2026. That's when his tax bill comes due, to either extend it or to change it and actually cut taxes. And it looks like he's going to have a majority in the House and the Senate, so it doesn't look like it's going to be hard to, at least at the bare minimum, extend his tax cuts. But I do believe they'll actually cut taxes as well, because he does have that majority. And so again, that's going to help out a ton. By that's going to be in a couple years though before that happens. But that's number one, like I said. So I wanted to go down the line of all the policies I think will impact trucking. So 1, tax cuts. 2, energy independence. He is going to lift regulation on fracking, and we are going to become energy independent again. We are going to become a net exporter of energy, the largest oil producer in the world. We're no longer going to be relying on our enemies for our oil. So what is being energy independent going to do? It's going to cut the cost of fuel, cut the cost of energy. And when you do that, you make things more affordable for not just large businesses or small businesses or any business, but for individuals. When you're paying less money at the gas pump, you have more money to go and spend at the grocery store. When Walmart it pays less money in fuel and transportation costs to move their goods, they can drop their prices at the grocery store. It all trickles down. When fuel goes up, everything goes up. Everything is moved by diesel fuel in the entire world. It is. And so it's only common sense, right, to if we have the oil, why are we not drilling for that oil and being energy independent and self-reliant? That is going to be coming. Whether you agree with that policy or not, or both policies that I'm talking about, that is going to happen. And who is that going to benefit the most, in my opinion? It's going to benefit small owner operators that are running spot market freight, that do not get the big discounts that these large companies get on fuel. Bringing down the cost of operation for you, it's coming. I mean, fuel is going to go down, and fuel prices are going to go down, and that's going to benefit small trucking companies. 1 truck operation, 10 truck operation, under 100 trucks, it's going to benefit them. And so it's going to really make trucking it's going to be a much better landscape for trucking going forward, being energy independent. Now, I already kind of touched on interest rates. The third thing, the second thing, the energy independence is going to allow for the Fed to cut rates. I alluded to that early in the video. It's going to allow for them to cut rates because inflation won't go out of control when we're energy independent. It's not going to go out of control because energy is what's driving inflation right now. That is why prices remain so high, because energy costs are so high. So it's very simple. When we start fracking again and we lift regulations, guess what? That means that interest rates can come down, and interest rates are really why things have slowed down so much in the economy, and that has impacted trucking. When interest rates come down, again, people are going to buy houses, they're going to buy cars, they're going to start taking out loans to remodel their houses. That's not happening right now. If you haven't noticed, new housing sales have slowed down tremendously. That impacts the trucking industry. Think about it. We move everything, every product in the world that's made, truckers move that. And when you raise interest rates and you make it darn near impossible for small companies to borrow money and expand, you are constricting economic growth. When you constrict economic growth, that is bad news for trucking, right? Because we move all of these products. We move everything that you need to build a house. We move that. We move it all. We move the fuel, right? We move everything. And so what we need to do is, again, we just need to have a great business climate. This is going to affect this is going to really affect everybody in almost every industry it is, especially industries that are moving physical products. It's going to impact them tremendously in a very positive way. 100%. All three of the things I just mentioned, that's pretty much the things that are going to impact truck. Another thing would be the immigration problem. That is another thing that if we are able to deport and we are able to really crack down on illegal immigration, that's also going to help out with trucking as well. I don't know how that's going to go. I definitely think the first three things I mentioned will 100% happen. The fourth thing is going to be a little harder, but if he does have the majority in the House and the Senate, I think it's going to be pretty easy to do all the things I just talked about. All of those things are going to have a positive impact. And look, if you don't like me for making this video, I don't really care. If you're on the left and you're watching me, hey, great. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. I'm just talking about the facts, really. I'm just presenting to you what he's planning to do, which he will be doing these things, and how it's going to impact trucking. It is true. His policies impact this industry in a much more positive way than the policies of the current administration, and especially what she was wanting to do. Her policies would have been disastrous for every business and investor. Every business owner and investor. And when you, again, for those of you that hate rich people and all that, ask yourself this question, because I'm going to end with this. I wanted to make it short, sweet, to the point. But moral of the story, Trump winning is going to equal boom times for trucking. It's going to boom. Oh, it'll take about 6 months to a year into his presidency, so about middle of next year, to start his policies to start impacting the economy in a positive way. But over the next 3, 4, 5 years, we are going to see an amazing trucking industry environment. 100%. We are 100%. I mean, that's undeniable. These are just common sense things, but You know, a lot of people don't like common sense because, you know, a lot of you, and I was going to say this, you don't like rich people. You don't think billionaires should get tax cuts. What happens when you raise taxes on billionaires? They move headquarters. Look at what happened. Elon Musk moved Tesla's headquarters to Austin, Texas. Why? Because California kept adding regulations. They kept raising taxes. And what did Elon do? He moved to a state that has zero income tax, that is business friendly, that welcomes business growth. And that is what ultimately impacts everything. 100%. That's what impacts all of us, Republican or Democrat, is the economy, period. And the economy has done pretty well. Even with all of the terrible policies over the last 4 years, it's still done okay. But we're America. We shouldn't be doing okay. We should be doing great. We have everything we need to be the greatest country in the world. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to go back to being the greatest country in the world. And a lot of you are going to unsub and not like me after this video. I really don't care, because it's true. It is true. Most of you can't afford a home. Most of you just can't afford anything. Inflation's so high, interest rates are so high. You know, most people are struggling, and that is about to change. That is about to, if you're a hard worker. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't going to impact your life at all. If you're not going to go out there and hustle and educate yourself and do what you need to do to be successful, it's not going to impact any of y'all. But the ones that are watching me that want to get in, and you want to make great money and have a great career, save money, invest your money, and do the things you need to do to make yourself successful, there is no handout. It's him winning's not a handout. Her winning wouldn't have been a handout. They're not going to give you anything. What it's doing, it's allowing for you to operate without that constriction. That's what it is. You want to live in a country or a state that allows you the freedom to go out there and prosper. That's what a Trump presidency means for the United States, 100%. And if you don't like me for that, that's okay. Because what just happened was capitalism prevailed last night and communism died. Because the truth is about that candidate that people were voting for was a radical left communist, 100%. We've never had a candidate that threatened a unrealized capital gains tax. Total communism, horrible. We've never had anybody like this before. Never. And that just ended. Americans came out and they spoke up and they said, no, we want to be a free nation. We want to have businesses grow and be successful. We want to prosper. That's what happened last night. And I do believe over the next 4 or 5 years, maybe even past that, we're set up for a very bright future in the United States. And when the United States does well, the world does well. And so I believe the future looks bright. Honestly, I do. But you still got to go out there and work, and you still got to go out there and hustle, make sacrifices, and do all the stuff I normally talk about in my videos. But I did want to touch on this after the election and kind of give my opinion on how I think this is going to impact trucking. I would have made a video about how I think Kamala was going to impact trucking, but Trump won. So that's what I think. And again, thank you for watching my video. I hope you stay tuned for the next video in the future. If you liked it, please sub to the channel. There will be more content like this in the future. God bless. Thank you for watching, and peace out.